Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, family, folks, tonight I want us to sit with a story that feels simple at first, but gets deeper the more we think about it. Have you ever wondered how close danger can really come into our lives without us even knowing? Imagine this. You're walking into a stadium, not for a game, not for a concert, but for a memorial service. A space meant for peace, for prayer, for reflection. You expect safety. You expect trust. You see officers. You see security. And you relax because you believe you're in good hands. But now picture this. One of those officers is not real. He's armed. He's pretending. He's walking around carrying authority he doesn't have, and no one knows it yet. That's not a movie, family. That's what happened in Glendale, Arizona, at State Farm Stadium, where Charlie Kirk's memorial service is scheduled for this Sunday. Authorities confirmed that 42-year-old Joshua Runkles was arrested after acting suspicious. Officers with the Arizona Department of Public Safety noticed him, stopped him, and discovered he was carrying a weapon into a prohibited place. Even worse, he was impersonating a police officer. Think about that. You're in a crowd, seeing someone you believe is protecting you, but instead, they're a stranger with a gun. That realization alone shakes you. If you agree, type the word "safe" in the chat, because the truth is, this headline forces us to think differently about what safe really means. And here's the twist. The U.S. Secret Service was also on the scene. They saw him too. They approached, questioned him, and he admitted he was armed while claiming to be law enforcement. But he wasn't. He was lying. He had no clearance, no badge, no authority. He was taken into custody, booked, and later released on bond. But family, let's pause right here. Why was he there? What was his purpose? Was it just recklessness, or was there a larger plan in motion? That's the part investigators are still digging into. And it's the part we need to reflect on together. Family, let's zoom out for a moment, because this isn't the first time someone has pretended to be law enforcement. Did you know that just a few years ago in Florida, a man was arrested for pulling people over with flashing red and blue lights on his car? He dressed the part, talked like an officer, and tricked drivers into stopping. Some of those drivers handed over money, thinking they were paying a fine. Others were robbed. That man abused the symbol of authority to prey on people's trust. And sadly, it's not an isolated case. In Illinois, there was a man who walked into schools, claiming to be part of a task force. He wore tactical gear, he had a fake badge, and people believed him until someone finally questioned why his story didn't add up. These examples show us how fragile trust can be. Family, type "safe" if you see how dangerous impersonation really is, because it opens doors that should never be opened. And let's go back in history for a moment. In New York City, in the 1970s, there was a man who posed as an NYPD detective for months. He carried a fake badge, drove a car with sirens, and even gave people orders on the street. For a while, people actually followed him. Imagine that, hundreds of people obeying a man who was never truly in uniform. He was only caught when a real officer noticed inconsistencies in his gear. Family, this is not new. It's a pattern. And every time it happens, it reminds us how thin the line between safety and danger really is. So when we hear about Joshua Runkles at State Farm Stadium, we shouldn't brush it off as just one weird story. We should see it as part of a much bigger issue, people pretending to hold authority in order to deceive, manipulate, or worse. And that's why vigilance matters. That's why awareness saves lives. Let me ask you this. How many of you have ever seen someone in a uniform and felt safer instantly? Raise your hand. Now take a moment to imagine if that uniform wasn't real. If you believe that thought alone is chilling, type "safe" in the chat right now. Family, safety is fragile. We trust the badge, the uniform, the lights on the car, but those symbols can be faked. What can't be faked is vigilance. What can't be faked is the instinct inside of us that says something is wrong here. And that instinct is what saved lives in Arizona, because DPS officers and Secret Service agents didn't ignore their gut. They didn't dismiss suspicious behavior. They acted. And because they acted, we are talking about an arrest tonight instead of a tragedy. That is the power of awareness. Let me take this even further. Think about your own life. Have you ever been in a situation where something felt off? Maybe it was someone walking behind you too closely. Maybe it was a stranger knocking on your door late at night. Maybe it was a car flashing lights at you, claiming to be police, but something inside you whispered, "Don't stop." Family, those instincts are not random. They're survival. And too often, we ignore them. We tell ourselves, it's probably nothing. But what if it isn't? What if that gut feeling is the one thing that stands between peace and chaos? Tonight's story out of Arizona proves that ignoring those feelings can cost lives. So here's my challenge to you. The next time your gut tells you something is off, trust it. If you agree, type safe again in the chat. And here's a final deep thought. Safety is not given. It is created. It is built. It is maintained. Not just by officers in uniform, not just by cameras and checkpoints, but by communities that refuse to look away. Brothers and sisters, friends, family, folks, safety is all of us choosing to stay alert, choosing to care, choosing to speak up. Because sometimes the strongest shield isn't the badge, it's the collective eyes of a community that refuses to be blind. So as we close tonight, I want everyone watching to do something with me. Type safe one more time if you believe safety is not automatic. Type safe if you believe vigilance saves lives. Type safe if you promise that the next time something feels wrong, you won't ignore it. Because at the end of the day, family, safety is not guaranteed. It's built by all of us together. Stay safe, stay alert, and stay united.